Yeah, well, that's me, and I'm hot, and I'm tired, and I'm sick of towing all my tools 45 minutes each way to the bus, and we've already decided, or we found that the blower seized, so the bus is not getting driven home, and that's too bad, but still got to get it home. So contacted the local heavy wrecker operator, and just kind of decide now to what I need to do to make that happen. We lifted the bus. We got it rolled forward a little bit. Brakes are all free, but it does have 30-plus-year-old tires on it, and I didn't feel like paying the wrecker operator a couple $100 an hour to sit on the side of the road and change a blown tire. So we pulled the old rubber off it on both sides, and pulled the drive shaft. Was able to load up all the spare parts, or all the parts that we'd taken off the bus, and bag and tag all the little pieces, and take all that back to my place, where I happen to have a 48-foot storage trailer, old Great Dane semi-trailer that had some reasonable rubber on it. It was metric, a little bit smaller than what I had that was on the bus, so about 1.5 inches shorter. But with air in the rear bags, I thought we'd have the clearance. So this is just some video I was shooting for the wrecker operator, and this is just something I recommend anytime somebody's getting something odd like this towed, is get some information for the operator, so that they kind of know what they're getting into. So if there's something else they need to bring or whatnot, they can do that, because you're paying that guy by the hour. And in my case, $225 an hour. So I just did a nice walk around on the bus and showed him what I had done already and where we were pulling it from, and a spot where I had we were putting air to the rear bags, and wanted to make sure that he could put air to that same spot, where we were able to adapt his glad hand line to that and air up the bus pretty easily once he got there. But again, this is just a walk around so that he has as much information as he can get to tow the bus. Gives an overview of the location, the fact that it's off the road here and it kind of drops down at an angle. Just basically, giving him the lay of the land before he gets there. Because I don't want any small talk at $2.25 an hour. So that was pretty much it. And the next day was the day that we actually got it towed out. And I'll kind of just cut to that happening here. When the wrecker operator arrived, it was, well, you'll see. Got her pulled up forward here. I'm going to see where he ends up hooking onto it. Hopefully don't destroy anything expensive. Gonna try to have a GoPro on the steering wheel there for the process, but I'm gonna get some video of it and follow him and see if we can get it to the house. Okay, so this is actually after we've pulled it up out of there, but I just wanted to make a quick note. What we ended up doing was actually putting a cable to one of the tow hooks on the front of the bus, and we both agreed this was the best way to do it, and actually just towing the bus up out of the hole while I drove, and then actually hooking it up on the road. All right, well, this is just me kind of using my filthy shirt to clean a slightly less filthy spot in the windshield for the GoPro to see through, which is hooked to the steering wheel, which in hindsight was a terrible idea. But it did get some video. And then I spent the next 35 minutes waiting for the operator to get there, just kind of standing around. But he showed up eventually, and we got her hooked up. Here we go. Hopefully that cable doesn't go in my mouth. We are out. Well, that was remarkably painless. It went really good. Popped it right up out of there. Didn't have any issues. So I moved the camera back to the steering wheel, and he's gonna use the lift to grab basically under the tow hooks in the front and just lift the front of the bus up, because remember, there's no air in the front bags, so it's still really low. And then he just lifts the bus up and we can get some blocking under the tires on both sides, and that so we could or he could find a place to hook onto it that we had both agreed on. So that's what's happening right now. All right, so now we've got it blocked up. We got some blocks under the tires. He's gonna back. He's gonna lower down the hoist and then back further up, and then get out some hooks for the tow lift. And we're gonna find a spot to put those. Where we actually ended up putting them is they're like a kind of a crotch-shaped or a Y-shaped hook, big metal hook, and we ended up putting them up in the radius arm mounts on the front, where the front radius arm mounts, and then putting some safety chains around them, so kind of sped some of that stuff up. But basically we get it all hooked up underneath there. The neighbor stopped over to check out the excitement. He's been looking at this bus out his window for the last 20 some years, so he's happy to see it go. But that's what's going on. All right, she's all hooked up. Few last odds and ends. Have to kind of secure the air hose that's supplying air to the bus. Basically, I just draped it from mirror to mirror. It's kind of what you'll see me doing. And then once that's done, he gets in the wrecker. I run back, jump in my truck, and start following him. And it has not rained up till this point. It's been just kind of muggy and hot. But the minute we start moving, it starts pouring. And the clouds come right down to the ground. I mean, there is zero visibility. It was not the greatest conditions, but we made it work. All right, you can see that it's not the greatest conditions. It's raining and yucky. The road we're on, we have to go about a quarter mile and then make a really, really hard left-hand turn. It's like almost a switchback to get going the right direction, and that's where the trouble comes with mounting the GoPro on the steering wheel. The front of the bus was pretty low to keep the back from dragging, and the front tires just grazed the road enough to turn the wheel, and that was pretty much the end of the steering wheel GoPro footage. He did have to kind of make a 2.5 point turn here to get this done, but that was pretty much the end. The GoPro spent the rest of the time kind of just wailing around, banging into stuff as the wheel kind of turned back and forth a few times depending on where we were. But I got some more footage from in the truck following him. Did not waste any time. Just yanked the old girl right home. But it went good. Didn't have any issues. I guess the undercarriage needed a wash anyway, so guess we tow it home in the pouring rain. I'm just waiting for like smoke and oil and suspension parts to come flying through my windshield. Well, here we are. We're home. He's backing it in my driveway. Ended up being $300 to get it here, which I was real happy with. That was fine with me. It was still raining and miserable, and I kind of wanted to give the bus a initial washing before we kind of got it put where it was going to stay while I worked on it. So we fired up the pressure washer and got soaked. But we got it completely washed off, got all the moss and junk washed off it. Got it. He didn't move it here. We moved it around to where it is with the tractor. But it cleaned up pretty good. We cleaned out all the under bays and storage bays, and just pressure washed as much stuff as I could. And that was it for that day. We just we were drenched and tired, and that was it. Well, that's where the bus is going to stay. I got a few more videos coming of blocking it up and kind of getting in position, but then I'm going to hopefully start doing some better videos with some better camera angles and stuff like that. But I had taken a bunch of this video previously, and I just did the voiceovers to explain it because I didn't have a lot of talking in the videos. But hope you're enjoying these, and we're going to see if we can bring this thing back.